Uh, Good afternoon. Excuse me? Yeah, I would like to bring somehow some positive news, and after so many images of conflict, I would like to propose city as a theater for appropriation. It could be conflict, but it could be also contact, celebration. It is often too violent, but it could be also playful. So I would like to bring an alternative to the current securization of a public space. I'm going to unfold a series of work which are, maybe I need to go back. I would like to unfold a series of work which are related to our life and work, MAP Office, Laurent Gutierrez and I, in Asia since 14 years with French background as education and then urban playground in one of the densiest regions in the world. The first topic then for this appropriation will be the first research we have done with the book Mapping HK on Mapping HK appropriation of space, looking at density from a different point of view, not from a physical point of view, but from a temporal point of view. In Asia, public space is really a space of tension where there is no this dichotomy between public versus private, but an alternance of appropriation of both towards this appropriation of space. So we have in this case some public space or fake public space, or acting as if they were public or looking like public, but just asking you to pass by, a space heavily regulated. Or here some spaces which are public, appropriated by the private. This is a fantastic house with no wall, where life is being put on public view on the daily basis as a performance. Very amazing also this use, this transformation of our central business district on Sundays, and here underneath the HSBC lobby by Norman Foster, thousands of Filipino domestic helpers appropriate the space every Sunday and transform it as a giant public living room. So instead of having a dead CBD on Sunday, there is again a new economy, a new performative approach to the space that is being negotiated with the bank. So again, layering and in this image showing that the two systems can exist and not excluding each other. Some negotiation can be done. Of course, there is an history to that, so I will be very briefly going through our references. Maybe the main image, people claiming the street, celebrating newly gained victory in France with the liberty, and images of barricade, also very interesting in that taxonomy of putting domestic objects in the streets to build up systems of defense with two points of negotiations. A very amazing image that I found the other day, the first photo, actually one of the first photos to be used as a surveillance camera, again to observe public activity in regards to space of conflict. Then we have this very famous history of putting the city in order with Baron Haussmann, setting up series of lines, putting the city in order, programming the city, opening up streets, opening the old organic city in order to control, but yet having still this kind of dichotomy between different spaces. Always a little reference to Corb, in this case from Cities of Tomorrow, having this mise en ordre, putting the city in order, yet reminding that total order leads to death and then constant activity is necessary. That's this activity that we would like to challenge and that I'm going to show through different performance and projects. First one with Guy Debord in the 60s, again in a space, a time of social conflict, having identified this kind of microclimates, micro areas fragmented by Haussmann, and putting them into dynamic systems of labyrinths. This détournement, débordement, deborder by Teddy Cruz, which I found very interesting as it replaces the urban fabric by the people. And again, I think the community is more architecture than the physicality of architecture. So if we as citizens are in charge, we can also propose new layers. That is continuity of Debord and Situationnist with the work of Constant, with New Babylon, proposing a new urban space, bringing up three-dimensionality to the system, also with Homo Ludens having this ladder, a ludic city in which there is always an escape. If it's not in one direction, can be also in another. Yet barricades go on in the city of Paris. This is the famous revolt in May 69, 68. And again, the street being the theater of social conflict and being massively transformed and used, public infrastructure and signage being the support of a revolt of the youth, which is still somehow happening those days in Paris. Then, in regard to the series of framework, we, Laura and I, were invited to make a procession in a very special moment in the city of Gwangju in Korea, a procession to celebrate the anniversary of a massacre in the city of Gwangju in 1989, where hundreds of students were shot by the police. And in order to build up this kind of public celebration of the massacre, basically we build up a series of paper cards inviting the people in the citizens of the city of Gwangju to express themselves with two questions. What are we fighting for today? What are we protesting against? So again, bringing the positive and the negative. What are today's values? What should be our fight? So the cards were circulating in the city. People were offered brushes, then having their statement, and then we burned the whole series of cards. There is this idea of also kind of cycle that is very important in Asia with a cremation. This year also, just after the death of Ballard, we wanted to commemorate him, to celebrate him, making and burning a Ferrari in our street. Also, that was in preparation of an exhibition we had in France at the same moment. In the city of Bordeaux, where we wrapped a series of trees on the Place des Quinconces, which is a UNESCO patrimoine. So it was, again, negotiation with the mayor, which was very open-minded, but against heavy pressure from the historical monuments, so that we were not going to burn the trees. So we placed this series of circles. Actually, it was a poem to commemorate Bordeaux as a slave port. So during the day, those objects are also kind of invisible, and at night we can lit them up, and then it's become again another performance in the city. Then barricades and détournement are leading us to another series of manifestation of publicness and appropriation in the street. Recently, due to different, basically born with globalization, the anti-global movement also set up a series of its own strategy. These are photos by Armin Link in Genoa showing this very light barricade. We are not within the heavy concrete wall that we saw in the previous presentation, but these are very light objects, very easy to bring, and showing this kind of flexibility of the city to adjust to different situations, cutting the citizens from discussion. In response to that, also, this kind of question mark by the French photographer Nicolas Moulin, with a series of photos, Vide Paris, emptying Paris, removing all the cars, all the pedestrians, and having concrete walled structure on the ground floor. Is it the kind of city that we are aiming towards in the future? Michael Sorkin reflecting on post-9/11 landscape in New York with a series of planters, first with trees and then the trees being removed. And then we found very interesting this series of obstacles identified by the Pakistani artist Amia Bibi, and basically mapping all those series of objects repelling us to go further in front of different embassies in Karachi. And that's our strategy basically in détournement, thinking how to transform all these negative objects filling up the city into objects very playful and that the kids can appropriate basically to perform. Oops. So again, from negative to positive, and again, bringing something which is dead, which has only one function, to its deprogrammation with our movement. This is in relation to parkour. I will introduce this later. And whoops, I need to accelerate. Very quickly, series of monuments placed by French artist Raphael Zaka in Bordeaux again. Then parkour being this new strategy and this new system as an alternative, born in France as a parcours du combattant, the course of a fighter, tracing the city in various different ways. Identified very quickly by filmmaker Luc Besson. Those kids really reinventing this concrete jungle, which is the French suburbia, and giving it another meaning, another hope, basically, by performing through the concrete, by giving it also, this is performance we're doing with our son, going not in the polished surface of brand new Hong Kong or corporate Hong Kong, but taking the back alleys, looking at the old community, old activities, informal economies, and all this imbrication of density in the back alleys. This is also an installation we did recently inside the gallery, letting the kids also, which are less and less authorized to perform, to deal with their body and giving them this freedom to occupy the space in ways they are not supposed to. The third line, in reference to this kind of assembly line in which we as human beings, going up and down and performing every day, building up the third line, basically the escalator, after Duchamp, the nude descending the staircase, the nude descending the escalator is not anymore the mechanical robot descending the staircase, but is completely active, jumping, surfing on the escalator. When barricades and liquid space, also current research leads us as, in relationship to this Japanese game, the pachinko, to observe us as little balls in density, and from home to office, there is all this series of cross, which are those barricades or objects we find in the streets, which are basically changing our day. Performance in Tokyo on those kind of little crosses, for example, in Shinjuku, where the girls are really activating the city. Those first games invented by the king in France as what's the name, Bagatelle, the ancestor of pinball. So we as little ball in the system, and the city basically letting us flow in various ways in the system. So basically we're going in this dematerialization of space, not with war with walls, different wars. In Asia, with gas and liquid, with viral operation, also with spread of virus. This is a performance in Tokyo by Dean Kelly. In Hong Kong, recently, every month, there is some serious attack with acid being thrown from the building on public space, where basically the most dense place in the city. So again, in order to understand how to operate within this system, we set up two installations. The first one contains here, in this kind of very sharp controlled object, 231 bearing balls. Very interesting, as we move one to one place, all the rest will follow as one, like the notes in English, mouton de Panurge, the Panurge ship, maybe. And on the other side of the gallery, we freed 4,000 bearing balls, making the ground very difficult to cross, asking the visitors to be more into control and realizing where they are walking, what is the condition of their environment. And then as they realize, they can also start to play and be active through this environment and change it. So basically, that's how you can operate in this system. And for me, in this case, then the future of a city should be performative, and we should all kind of gain some awareness of the environment we are living in. Thank you.